Welcome to Prepper Nation. I am John. Thank you very much for being here, hitting subscribe, shooting a thumbs up or down or whatever. Won't take up too much of your time this afternoon. Want to go over a couple of things that I've been seeing a lot in the comments. A couple of questions that, similar questions that I've gotten today as well. The first thing, though, people not getting notifications on YouTube. Uh, I saw a bunch of this yesterday. I've seen some of this today. Probably going to continue to see it moving forward because, folks, just to level with you, it's totally out of my control. I mean, I don't work at Google. I would change it, this instant. I would change it if I could, but unfortunately, it's just not the way that it works. YouTube has its picks. Some people call them gatekeepers. These gatekeepers like to snitch on everybody, and they like to be gatekeepers because that's exactly what they are, and they get preferential treatment accordingly, and the rest of us get thrown in the back somewhere. But that's totally okay. I don't do the politics thing on YouTube. Don't really care. I am sorry that y'all are not getting notified, but as somebody that subscribes to a lot of channels in the prepping community myself, I often do not get notified. And I don't know that people are live or that they've dropped content. So it is what it is, YouTube. I've come to accept it. Moving right along to Tucker. A lot of people have asked, or left comments this morning, especially. I saw a lot of it in the live chat about Tucker Carlson. I didn't know about this, and I just saw that it had been confirmed over on X. So apparently, Tucker, who has a monumental reach on social media, when he goes live with an interview, it outpaces Fox, CNN, MSNBC, NBC, CBS, all of them combined. The New York Times, Wall Street Journal, like he has a bigger reach than all combined. Apparently, he has made his way to Russia, and he is going to be interviewing the leader of Russia. All well who I'm talking about, but that was confirmed a little while ago over on X. It's actually trending as I filmed this video, and there's a total meltdown by about half the country right now that's on social media. They cannot believe it. They're calling for this man, Tucker, to be arrested. They're calling for Tucker not to be allowed back into the country. They're calling it treason. They're calling it all kinds of stuff. And people have asked, John, what are your thoughts on this? So I just wanted to cover it real quick again. Not going to take too long, but mainstream media is losing its mind right now because mainstream media, can I get an amen on this? Mainstream media, by and large, are propagandists. Propaganda only works when you tell one side of the story and you control the flow of information. That's the only way it works. All right. So to give you an example, and I've used this example before, but it's been like a year plus back. A lot of new faces here at the nation. Welcome, by the way. um, if you are a child and your parents split up and they're just like, it ain't working out, son. In most cases, this child is going to hear two different stories. They're going to go to their pop's house, and their pop's going to be like, man, I can't believe your mom did this, this. She wouldn't let me watch Gunsmoke, son. She wouldn't let me, all this, all right? Then the child is going to go to the mom's house, and it's a totally different story. Oh, your pop, he just wanted to sit around and watch Gunsmoke and drink root beer and smoke Churchill. Y'all get what I'm saying? Two different sides of the story, two totally different narratives. And then the kid is in a really tough spot because the kid has to sit there and try and make their mind up, try and piece together based on both sides of the story what's actually going on. And usually the truth is somewhere in the middle, right? Usually the dad was watching a little too much TV, the mom was nagging a little too much. It just doesn't work out. Mainstream media is losing its mind because since the war in Europe started, and that's what it is now, it's not just the Z-Man in his country, it's a war in Europe. Since the war in Europe started, we've only been fed one side of the story. RT News was actually banned for a while here in the United States. And that was a troubling sign because when they begin to ban the flow of information, that's a telltale sign that you as a population are being lied to. So that's where I stand on it. I don't like the idea of banned information. I don't like the idea of banned books. I don't like the idea of banned podcasts, banned, TV shows and things like this. Now, I will say that with an asterisk because I believe with certain things, there's a time and a place. Some of the, to give you an example, pulling from left field here, but this is a good example. Some of the books that we have in our public education system right now may not be appropriate for that setting. Again, there's a time and a place. I don't believe you ban the books. I believe you keep them out of the public education system. And the reason that you do this is you're dealing with kids, and kids really don't have, the same cognitive ability that grown-ups do to determine right and wrong and things like this. So I do think that you have to protect kids. You do have to protect young minds, but I do think that it's important that you're not out here banning ideas, banning literature, banning all of this stuff. We need to always have access to both sides of any story, especially a story that has cost us so much freaking money over in Europe. Period. You know, he may sit down, he may do this interview with the president of Russia, and I may agree with absolutely nothing the president of Russia has to say. That may be the outcome. I don't know. I'm definitely going to watch the interview when it drops. But even if I agree with nothing, I have made my own decision on that. I've heard both sides of the story at that point. I make my own decision. I may sit down and I may hear truth bomb after truth bomb after truth bomb. He may get into this interview with Tucker and he may expose a lot of bad things that are happening in DC that we don't know about, right? Because again, we have no access to this information. But that should be for us to determine. And this is the problem, one of the many problems that I have with our government, but the current administration. This goes right up there alongside with Biden talking to presidents who haven't been on this planet for 15 years plus. That's ridiculous, but I digress. The point I'm trying to make here is our government has this tendency to not give us access to both sides of a story. And then also, in the same breath, tell us we're protecting you. In other words, the government has made your mind up for you. They have determined that what is happening in Europe is Russia's fault. 1000%. They have made that determination. Therefore, the only news and the only documentaries you're going to be able to access as a citizen here in the United States fits that narrative. And this is why they are losing their minds right now. Because again, Tucker has such a massive reach and he has a free speech platform in Twitter that's going to allow him to get this out there. So we'll see. We'll see where the cards fall with this interview, or if it actually takes place. But what I'll say moving forward, I think what we're seeing right now is a media from 10, 20 years ago going head to head with a media 10 to 20 years from now. Meaning 20 years ago, everybody had to sit down and watch the 6 o'clock news. Or when did it come on? 5:36, something like that. 7 o'clock. Lester Holt and all them, Tom Brokaw. You had to watch the nightly news in order to be somewhat informed, or read the New York Times. Mainstream media was the only option we had. That's not the case anymore. and people like Joe Rogan, Mr. Jones, y'all know I'm talking about, Tucker Carlson, people like this that have gained a huge following. They are allowing people to go outside of mainstream media and get informed and hear the other side of the story. And again, your propagandists are losing their minds. So, no, I don't think Tucker should be arrested. I don't think he should be banned from the United States. Tucker's doing, in my opinion, Tucker is doing what journalists should do. They should seek both sides of the story out. And I think the problem that we have in the United States is we don't have that. Sorry, folks. If you watch Fox News, they're only going to give you one side of the story, right? They're not going to give you the liberal perspective. CNN, they're only going to give you the liberal perspective. They're not going to give you a conservative perspective, right? Tucker, we've heard one side. We've heard our government's argument as to why we're in Europe. Now Tucker, being a journalist and not a propagandist, is going to the other side, straight to the source. He is going to sit down, from what I understand, he's going to interview the president of Russia. And to be quite frank, he's the right person to do it, because I think he is not going to throw softball questions. I think he's going to ask hard questions, because Russia has put out, in the past, they have put out statements and things, and this is why we did this, and this is why we did this. But we know these are writers for Putin. We know that this stuff has been carefully crafted, and in its own respect is also propaganda. But as they sit down for this interview, Putin's not going to get the questions in advance. He's not going to know what the questions are, and he's going to have to answer as truthfully as he can. It's almost like an interrogation, if you will. So we'll see how it ends up. But that's where I stand on it. Let me know where y'all stand on it in the comments. Take care. God bless.